All right.
Okay.
Welcome to Scottsdale on the Rocks.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh,
We're doing this. Oh, is it already started?
This is my favorite button. All right.
Oh, is it already going? Is it already playing?
Oh, yeah, it's going. All right, Joel. So I'm here with my buddy Joel, and we decided on an idea called Scottsdale on the Rocks is what it is. And the idea came from basically what Scottsdale is. So we'll talk about entertainment. We'll talk about dining. We'll talk about different events. We'll talk to various people that run Scottsdale in terms of entrepreneurs and everything else. So this is going to be a podcast. So basically kind of an interview thing. And that's basically where the idea came from. So I don't know, Joel, what kind of ideas do you think you have for the podcast?
Man, it's going to be a tell-all is what we're thinking.
I think so too. Do you have any nicknames?
Around Scottsdale?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious.
What does anyone call me? No one's called me Toilet Bowl Joel in a while. But,
I know you started a bunch of trends. You started a bunch of different things like Pa. Ramin is Pa now.
I call my buddy Pa, Ramin. Shout out to Ramin. We're going to get him on here one of these days.
We'll get Ramin on here.
He doesn't live in Scottsdale, but we'll let him. Celebrity appearance from Houston.
Yeah, he's multi-state now. Everybody knows him when he comes into town. Everybody knows him in Houston, Dallas.
He's been 86 from Scottsdale.
Oh, really?
We haven't had him here in a while. We're not sure why.
Where are you, Ramin? We need to get you out here again. He's been hiding. I don't know what he's doing. He's in Dubai or something. Buying some Ace.
He's buying some Ace somewhere. But that's my Pa. And then who else has a nickname besides my Pa? Call David Cabo Dave. Shout out Cabo Dave. We'll get you on here too.
Where did that name come from? He used to go to Cabo a lot or something?
We just went to Cabo one time, and
that's what it was.
It's the first nickname you get is one that sticks, is what it is, because he should be called a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And he's barely been to Cabo.
But
we need to give him a new nickname.
Yeah. We got to get him a new nickname. I know Lawson and everybody else still call him Cabo Dave, but yeah. So, anyways, what do you think in terms of what we're gonna do on this podcast, Joel?
We just want to get the information out there, fill in a lot of blank spaces. No one really knows what's going in Scottsdale, so I think that's what this is.
I agree. So I came to Scottsdale in 2017, and I came in with basically a blank state. I didn't really know what Scottsdale was. I had never been here before. My good friend Nasir, shout out Nasir, he was out here, and I came out for the first time, and the first person I actually met was Drew Young.
Oh my God, we got to get Drew on here too.
Yeah, so I met Drew Young. He was working at Hi-Fi back at the time, and he was the general manager there. My buddy used to come to Scottsdale a lot, so he put me in a group conversation with him. I came in, had my first bottle service set up at Hi-Fi, and then kind of the rest was history. I met Dan Young, and I actually became roommates with Dan Young for a while because I was flying into Scottsdale.
Drew Young, that's who you first met.
Yeah, Drew Young was the first person I met.
This guy, man.
And then I would walk by their bar, and then to be honest, I saw Dan and Drew at the same time, whatever, and I actually thought they were the same person when I first met them. So, anyways, Dan would grab me from the street and be like, "Hey, come on in, have a drink." He would comp me a drink or something, and that's how I became friends with Dan. And Dan actually introduced me to literally everybody in Scottsdale, and I'm trying to think how I met you, actually. How did I meet you? Do you remember?
Fuck, no. Dan, maybe?
Yeah, it had to have been. I don't know.
You were roommates with Dan when we met.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. So I think the way I met you or became friends with you is when you were working at Skylanes, and
really?
And we did that thing called Ivy League bowling.
That's what it was.
Yep.
I reached out to you.
Yeah, you reached out to me. We did a little thing, Skylanes on a Sunday. I think it was on Sundays or something like that.
Yeah, we were giving IVs, we're charging, but like we were trying to get our brunch busy. So I was like, hey, everyone's hungover.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll come here and get an IV. So
we tried it for a little while. We got some people, but just people weren't waking up at Scottsdale at that time. No. But it was a great concept. I liked it. It was interesting. One thing I've always appreciated about you is you definitely got some marketing skills in different ways to drive business to
Yeah, always
Different
trying to
bars.
drive business to whatever bar I'm working at or a restaurant
Yep.
that I'm at.
So where are you from, Joel?
Tucson. I'm from Tucson, but I joined the Army when I was 19, and I didn't come back to Arizona. I got out of the Army when I was 25.
Oh, really?
And instead of moving back to Tucson, it would have been really shitty living in Tucson. Tucson's the worst. No offense, Tucson.
How'd you end up here in Scottsdale?
My dad was living here. He was in the Army here still.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so
How old were you when you moved to Scottsdale?
25, and I had just left Tucson. I had just left the Army. So I instead of going back to Tucson, I wanted to be near my family. So I said, okay, let's go to Scottsdale. It's pretty badass here.
So
I liked it the first day I got here to visit. My dad. I've been visiting here a lot because my dad had lived here a lot. Him and my mom were separated, so he always lived up here. And so I have been in Scottsdale quite a bit before I was 25.
Yeah.
And so I figured when I got out of the Army, I want to be near my family. I have a really big family. Love my family. Shout out. And so we settled on Scottsdale.
Okay. Tell us about the Army. What'd you do in the Army?
I was in the infantry in the Army. Mm-hmm. I remember I was a teenager when 9/11 happened, so I was always like, hey, fuck these guys, these terrorists. And I wanted to do my part. And so I was in my second semester of college. I didn't even know what I was going to school for. I was just doing gen eds at the community college. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I was always into like construction.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this is boring. Am I going to do construction the rest of my life? And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to join the Army.
Yep.
So I joined the Army, and my parents were like, my dad was like, well, don't do infantry, anything crazy. So I was like, I'm going to do infantry.
Yeah. Of course.
Because that's, yeah. So I did that, and then I was in the Army for six and a half years before I got back from Afghanistan in 2010, and then I was like, okay, I'm getting out. They give you like a 2-year window to re-enlist.
Yeah.
And I just didn't ever do it. I just always wanted to get out. So
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a bad time in the Army. I made a lot of friends and did a lot of cool things, and it was like high adrenaline stuff. And but that people in the infantry, like when you turn 40, they look like they're 60.
Oh, really?
It's just
So
really
it's probably hard. It's probably hard on you, yeah?
It's hard. All you do is run every single day. You're just running. Right?
I can only imagine it gets exhausting after a while, but
So everyone has bad knees.
But salute to you, man. That's badass, to be honest.
Thanks.
It's a good background to have. But yeah, in terms of parents kind of telling you what to do, and it's kind of interesting. A lot of people basically kind of do the opposite of basically kind of what their parents kind of pushes them towards, you know?
Yeah, it's stupid. I honestly, like, why would you even want to do that?
I don't know why.
Why would anyone want to do that? I was like, why did I do this?
Yeah, it's kind of the same way for me. So anyways, when I was actually going through school, it was kind of a few different options. I was really good at science. I was really good at math, and I was trying to figure out exactly kind of what I wanted to do. And my dad wanted me to be an electrical engineer, whatever, right? Because he's an electrical contractor. And anyways, I kind of said, hey, I don't want to do that just because. Why? So I kind of did the opposite. I actually did chemical engineering, which was kind of a weird thing to do at the time. But then,
where'd you go to school?
University of New Mexico. So
Okay.
I'm from New Mexico. So I'm from a little town called Truchas. It's a mountain type spot. And anyways, I lived out there my entire life. I went to kind of high school in Espanola, which is kind of a little town kind of closest to there. And then I went to University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, did my undergraduate, started my master's, and then got my a medical doctorate. And then I went to Indiana. Was my first job.
When did you become a doctor?
So probably around 2011 or so
Cool.
is when I went to medical school. And then from there, I went to residency in New Mexico. And then in 2000, I can't even remember right now. But then I went to Indiana and I did some, I was working inpatient cardiology for a while there. And that was actually the first time when I came to Scottsdale was during that interval. I came to visit my good friend Nas.
Where's he at?
So he's actually here, he's in Phoenix right now. But he actually kind of introduced me to.
Is he that doctor from Arizona, Nasir?
No, he works for Wells Fargo Bank actually. Okay. But really good friend of mine for the longest time from New Mexico. That's where I met him. And then I came out here to Scottsdale and I met Drew Young, and then from there is kind of history. I met Dan, I became his roommate.
Did you have a job lined up out here, or you just liked it?
So I just liked it. So had actually been thinking about this IV therapy company for a long time while I was in residency and while I was working as attending out there. And I had the idea of doing it either in New Mexico, Indiana,
This
somewhere.
was over 10 years ago, before the IVs. No one was even doing it then.
Well, yep, there was only like one place doing it, and they weren't doing it right at the time. And anyways, I came in and I kind of was one of the first ones to basically kind of open medical-based business here that was kind of treating hangovers and IVs for athletes and kind of make it easier for people to access, and created one in Old Town Scottsdale. So that's how Viva IV Therapy basically got started. Was just kind of a fun little thing that I
Crazy.
was like, hey, it's a big need here, and it's something I wanted to create access to, and basically now we have it. So
you
yep.
started a business
Yep. So started a business in Arizona.
right after you got your doctorate.
Yep, back in 2017. Well, it was a little bit after.
Okay, it's a little after.
It was a little after, but yeah.
So you were already working here.
Yeah, no, I wasn't working here yet. So
okay.
I was actually flying back and forth. So I would work the schedule where I was working 2 weeks on, 4 weeks off. So during my 4 weeks off, I would come to Scottsdale and basically kind of work on the business. And then the 2 weeks that I was off, basically I would go back to Indiana and work that cardiology job. And then that's how we became roommates with Dan Young, is because I was only flying in. I would stay at the W. I would stay at one of these other smaller hotels, whichever one basically had a room, and it was just kind of getting pricey after a while. And then I was like, hey, all right, let's get an apartment. And I moved into Optima with Dan, and Dan actually showed me Scottsdale and introduced me to everybody. So that's kind of how I know everybody in the industry in terms of at least the bars and dining, anyways, is because of Dan Young.
Dan runs a nightclub. Did you party in New Mexico?
No, not really. When I was in New Mexico, there's really not a lot of entertainment like Scottsdale. So there's like a downtown area. There's some restaurants, but it's all like New Mexican food. It's not like Scottsdale. One of the things that I actually love about it is it's very diverse in terms of fine dining. So you have lots of different things. You know, you have really nice steakhouses. You have different alternatives in terms of Mediterranean. You have Indian. You have whatever you want in terms of Scottsdale. You kind of have it, you know, compared to other places in New Mexico.
Got everything here.
Oh yeah. What are some of your favorite places here in Scottsdale?
Well, shit, put me on the spot. There's some really good spots. I guess I like, for food. If you go to like a place close by, we like Houston's, and
Oh yeah, I love Houston's.
Scottsdale has everything. So it has the Oceans and the Houston's and the Mastros and the all these restaurants. Francine, Nobu.
Yep.
We go to that one spot for brunch.
So let's say we have a couple of friends that are coming into town. They're coming in from Miami or something. We have friends kind of all over the place now. And anyways, let's say we have some new friends coming from Miami. They've never been to Scottsdale before. What's one of the first things that you would say, hey, you got to do this? This is one of the first things you got to see in Scottsdale. Where do you got to go? Like, who do you got to meet? Like, what are you going to tell them?
Most of these friends are coming here and they want to know where to eat and where to go. That's what they want to know.
Yeah.
They don't care about so you can tell them to go hiking because we got some dope hikes and stuff, even in Scottsdale.
Oh, for sure.
But they just want to know where to go to get drunk or to have a good meal. And I always say the best like spot to go that's in the center of everything to start out, like has like a good, just the most solid ambiance probably is Toca Madera.
Oh yeah.
We'd always just say it's a safe bet because I mean the food's not amazing. No one in town and no one will say that food's amazing, but you can't go wrong. I mean, you can't mess up with taco, so they don't mess it up.
No, I agree. Toca Madera is one of those first things that I always recommend to people simply because, one, it's beautiful in terms of the ambiance. It's amazing in terms of, the energy that when you walk in there, it's kind of higher energy, intense. It's makes people like say, hey, like, all right, let's go. We're ready to party, type thing. I feel like that's what Toca Madera is, and that's the vibe they're going for. Plus, it's a show. You get the different guy that's playing the guitar. You have the girl playing the flames and eating the flames, and
it's in the middle of everything.
Yeah, she's swinging the flame past her butthole. All those types of things, So
you can go there and before you go to dinner because then it's surrounded by all these other really nice dinner spots. So you go there for pregame, then go to dinner, or you could do dinner there too. But the thing is, you're so close to all these other cool spots. So like,
No, I agree.
The move.
And plus, it's nice only because sometimes if Toca Madera is a little bit too busy, you just walk across the street right there to Ocean
Nobu,
44, Nobu. Yeah,
Francine.
there's plenty of options. Plus, they have valet.
And now there's a new spot here. What's the one from Canada over there? Moxie's.
Oh yeah, Moxie's great. Yeah,
It's in the mall, right? And you can walk through the mall to get to it from Toca.
yeah. So the first time I ever went to Moxie's was over in Dallas, and it's actually a pretty cool little vibe, and the food's great. Management has been great to us every single time we've gone. They've accommodated us, so I can't complain about that. Same thing with Toca Madera. I don't think there's ever been a time that we've gone and haven't been able to get in or anything.
That's the thing. Everyone that always works here, they always have someone we know really close working. Now, I think Savannah's working there. It's always someone, they're really good. They win on that because they always have someone there that we know so we can hit up for a reservation.
No, I agree.
And that's why they're smart. That's one reason they're really smart because there's a lot of New Vegas people in town, all these Caesars, all these places, and you're wondering, like, where are they going to... Who do you hit up when you want a reservation there?
No, I agree.
And I guess we'll see how that works out. But it is nice that we can always get into Toca.
Yeah, no, it is great. Last time we were sitting there, Savannah came up. She like, taking pictures with us and hanging out with us for a little bit. So, they're actually really good at choosing people for that position, in terms of marketing aspect. I thought Eddie did a great job there for a while. Savannah.
Yeah, Eddie made it a while.
Yep.
Savannah. Who's the other girl from Houston?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, how did you get into the bar industry?
Well, when I was in the Army and I was stationed in Washington, D.C. for a few years, I was in the color guard, so at nighttime I didn't have anything to do, and I didn't know anyone. I was bored, so someone's like, you want to check IDs at this front door at this bar? It was called the Sign of the Whale.
It was in Scottsdale or where?
When I was in D.C.
Okay, in D.C.
When I was in the Army.
Okay.
And I was like, check ID. So I started checking IDs at a bar. Mm-hmm. And then I did that for 4 years.
Was that a tough job, like getting people in? Like, hey, like, was it hard to identify fake IDs? Like,
yeah.
What was that like?
Man, that was easy. Yeah, it was tough because the bar I worked at this bar called the Clarendon Ballroom, and it could fit 1,000, 1,500 people. It was huge.
Yeah.
And so you had to check all those IDs, but then they had to pay cover too at this spot. A lot of places pay cover in DC.
Oh yeah.
And so that was the hard part, was getting everyone to pay cover.
There's a bunch of salsa out there, right? Isn't there?
A bunch of what?
Salsa. I remember the last time I went.
Salsa, yeah.
My
God.
Every place was a salsa joint, and I was like, "Holy heck, what is going on?"
This spot I worked at had a salsa night.
Yeah.
And it crushes. And they would do 1 hour of lessons, and then the rest of the night they would just dance. And so you could come in there and not know how to do salsa, but just take a lesson there at the beginning, and then you could just do the beginner stuff all night long. And there's a lot of salsa out there. It's so random. And I always try to start a salsa night in Scottsdale. I've tried to do it a couple times, and it never takes off.
I wonder why.
But I always remember DC being such a good salsa spot. I was like, no, people love this.
Yeah.
But I did a front door security guard for 4 years, and then I remember I was like, well, when I get out of the Army, I think I'm going to go back to restaurants, but I'm not going to do the security side of things. I like the hospitality, and that's probably why they had me at the front door.
Yep.
It's because I was so good at being that first, especially at your front door. You want the first person someone meets to be someone.
Oh yeah. I think you're a great person for the first person to meet because you're very high energy. You're like hilarious. So, coming into the bar, I'm sure you're giving people like crap or in a joking way, having fun.
Have something smart to say.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got in. And then when I got out of the Army, I was last stationed in Kentucky, and I remember driving to Scottsdale. I decided to live in Scottsdale. I got an apartment on Miller and Osborne.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like...
Oh, that's why you like that street, Miller.
Yeah, I still live on Miller. Still there. It's my favorite. It's my bubble.
That's funny.
This is as far as I've been from home. This is really far, Jerome. But I got a job. I was in the car on Craigslist, and I saw an ad for Marriott, and I applied while I was driving, and then the lady's like, can you come in for an interview in the morning? And it was like a 20-hour drive. I was like, okay. So
20-hour?
Yeah, I drove from Kentucky.
Okay. So that's how you got here, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So Marriott, huh?
Yeah, and I got the job that morning.
Nice.
And I worked for him for almost 6 years.
What were you doing there? What?
Marriott. I started out in they had a fine dining restaurant called BLT Steak.
Okay.
And I started out in the kitchen and then just worked my way up into serving. And then if you could serve in one of those restaurants, you could serve anywhere because it's like a lot. It's a lot to do, and you meet so many like celebrities and people working at
sure.
that spot. Like you met everybody, anybody, senators. They all went in there.
Is it still open or is it closed?
That Marriott's still there, but I think that they have a different outlet.
Okay.
In where that restaurant was.
So, the first time I kind of met you, I think you were already involved in the Old Town entertainment area in terms of the circle or whatever we call it. And how did you get pulled into there?
Well, I never thought I would make as good of money. Like when you're working in fine dining, you make really good money.
Yeah.
You like you think it's good, but it's like $50 an hour.
That's great.
Yeah. And I would make, and then some nights I would walk out of there. Almost every night you make like $500. You'd walk out with 500. So you're like home by 10.
Oh yeah.
And everyone's like, when did you even work? Because like you only work, you serve a couple dinner shifts and go home. And so I just didn't. Again, I would just golf all day around here. I worked at a Marriott, and golfing was free. So I just learned how to golf during the day, serve dinner in the evening, and then after work I would go out and party, and because I had all this cash in my pocket every single night, every single night. So that's how I got to know everyone in Old Town. I was just out every single night.
So you got pulled in like most people get pulled into Scottsdale. You got pulled in, you started partying a little bit, and you're like, all right, let's go.
Well, and then I was already like a part of the industry.
Yeah.
Because so I do a lot of the bartenders.
You were like a satellite part of the industry.
Yes, I was. That's how it happened. Oh, and then I got Steak 44 opened.
Okay, yeah.
I went and opened
I love Steak 44.
It's a nice restaurant. They just opened. There's like 10 of them now all over the U.S. And the first one, though, that opened, I opened it, and it was like a month of training. They make you memorize every teaspoon.
Was that the
of
first
salt.
one on 44th? Or
On 44th. Now it's called Steak 48 in other states.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're the 48th state, and I guess they couldn't open them on every 44th street. So it's on 44th Street here in Phoenix, and I opened it, and then was working there, meeting, and it was the same way, just meeting every celebrity, every person, getting request tables every night, waiting on these people. Then I was running my mouth about one of the managers there. I heard she has 5-inch areolas, and I was telling someone about
5 inches? Oh my god!
Yeah, and I was telling someone.
Those are some pepperonis. Or what do you call them?
I know. I thought it was hilarious, and I was just like, "Hey, I heard that this girl has 5-inch," and I told someone that, and I guess they were just a little corporate and they didn't appreciate it. And so HR found out, and they're like, the story had gotten twisted to where like her and I were hooking up. I was like, no, that's not the story. I was just telling someone about her areolas. But she was embarrassed over it. So. Oh
yeah. Some girls. I think all areolas are actually pretty sweet, no matter if it's big or small. But I do prefer the smaller ones. What is your preference in terms of areolas and nipples?
I don't know why we like them like that. Yeah, same.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like girls with bigger boobs, bigger tits, have those bigger areolas. It's like naturally big tits come with bigger natural areolas. What is your thought?
Well, sometimes they don't, and it just covers the whole boob. It's weird.
Yeah, if it's like the boob's this big, and then all of a sudden the areola is like this big, then
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. And I heard that's
90% of the tit. Oh my god!
But like a lot, half of it.
Oh my god! Yeah.
That's that. I don't know why.
I know some guys like that.
Oh man. Oof. So, like, is there a surgery for areola if people have a thing?
I honestly don't know. To be honest,
never heard of it.
I've never heard of it. I'm sure they could probably create some kind of reduction. There has to be, right?
They get breast reductions all the time.
Yeah, people get breast reduction.
And then what if they get a breast reduction and then it's the wrong size now because the areola is big?
Well, I think there's actually like a surgery that you could do to, like, I know with like breast cancer people and other things, they could actually recreate a nipple. So I'm sure there's some kind of surgery to kind of create that effect, but I just don't know. We need to get a plastic surgeon on and ask them these questions.
We do need to find out. Hey, we don't know any good plastic surgeons, do we?
No, not really.
I don't know any. Where do these guys hide out? Because they touch everyone's tits in town.
I know. I need to ask one of my good friends. My friend Matt. He's probably paid for, I don't know, 7, 8 blowjobs. Blowjobs. Boob jobs. He's, he's probably paid for blowjobs too. I don't know.
Of course.
Have you met? I don't know. But no, yeah, he's paid for so many. What's funny is there was a time I was like one of my friends or something was discussing it, and he like jumped in the conversation. He's like, "Oh, you got to go to this doctor because he does this, and he's going down the list of all the different like specific like medical like terminology specifically for that procedure. And I was like, "Holy shit, man! How do you know all this damn crap about boob jobs?" He's like, "Well, I've paid for so freaking many, you know." So he knows all the ins and outs. He knows what they look like. He knows he's a professional. He could do a consult for you for anybody,
Really?
you know.
And
Yeah.
I wonder if he financed them all.
Oh, he did. No, maybe.
That'd be
No,
funny
he
if
did.
he has like 7 payments.
Can you imagine?
It's like,
Oh, that'd be terrible. Yeah,
needs
7
an
payments.
app to keep up with it.
He's like, "Oh, I got to make payments on this, whatever."
Shit.
But that'd be hilarious.
That'd be funny. Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of people. Have you ever bought anyone any boobs?
I actually have not, to be
Never
honest.
have,
Yeah. So I've never paid for a boob job. I got lucky. My current girlfriend actually came in with the boobs already.
yeah.
I was like, hell yeah.
Someone's probably still paying for those.
No. She paid for them actually.
okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, I always think like when I meet a girl that like I think's hot, I'm always just like, I would buy her boobs. I'm always like, maybe one day.
One day.
I would finance it.
One day.
I would finance it. I could probably finance it. That's what I always think.
Thinking about
If they're
payments.
really small, I'm like,
What do you think the payments are for that?
500, right?
Yeah, it can't be that bad, right? So like a
Because
boob
they're
job.
like $7,000.
Yeah, something like
So
that.
it's a cheap car.
Yeah. So it can't be that bad.
$500 a month.
Yeah, it's affordable.
Yeah.
Have you never bought boobs for anybody?
Me? No, but if I did, that's how I would do it. I would finance it.
Yeah. Of course, you got
But
to.
and then you just So I guess I should put that out there, okay?
If anyone wants their
If
boobs
anyone's
done,
watching this and you have a flat chest and you're pretty, I'll think about it. Finance it.
it's just the payment away. But what are some like? So if you were to actually get buy a girl some boobs, what would kind of be the discussion?
You have a really small chest.
Do you think
I didn't say it.
Do you think you would bring it up, or do you like would let her bring it up and then jump in, or like how would that conversation go? Do you think?
I've always thought it would go like she would just be like, "Hey, I would do that," and I would say, I would say, "Okay, cool, let's do it."
Yeah.
That's how I feel like it goes.
I feel like that's the case too, because I think if you like kind of just put it out there and
Or you're just like, would you do that? And if they're like, yeah.
You're afraid they might get offended or something by it, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I feel like you would discuss it on the first date.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that I've noticed here in Scottsdale is the longer they're in Scottsdale, like the bigger their boobs get, and also the more filler and the more, I guess, treatment that they get a lot of the times.
They weren't always doing their lips. That started not long ago. I remember. That started like...
Yeah, it started around
2015. They started injecting their lips hardcore, and I didn't know that was a real thing. I was like, no way, they do not do that. But 100%. That's like that's a standard thing is to get your lips injected.
Yeah. I think the lips thing in Scottsdale is definitely a big thing. For some people, it's a game changer. You know, some people that have little tiny lips. I don't know.
It's crazy.
Little
really
fish
does.
lips.
Yeah.
You didn't even notice that. And then some people, all of a sudden, they have like voluptuous lips and good lips. And then some people go a little too far, where they become like those bubble lips. That kind of scares me. But
I wish they'd stop. Now they're doing. No one's doing butts yet, but they are doing it. I've heard.
Oh yeah, it's not like Miami.
I didn't think so, but everyone keeps telling me lately. No, she does it. She does it.
Yeah, in Miami, in Miami, butts is a big thing. It's like, holy heck, you're on the beach and you're like, boom.
It's so obvious.
Yeah. But
That's what's weird.
In Scottsdale, like I think there's more like working out butts. Like people are like they go to the gym a lot. They're squatting. Like they have some good butts here in Scottsdale, but not like those big fake butts like in Miami. That's my feeling, anyways, in terms of Scottsdale.
Man, well, you used to like not like boobs if they didn't look real, even if they were fake. You'd be like, hey, that's a good boob job. I like that.
Yeah.
But now you don't care. Like, because you know, it's kind of comic drum, but like now they're just so big that you're like, come on, those look great.
Yeah.
And you're happy about
They're
it.
distracting enough. You're like, why? She's got tits. So
Those
like,
are awesome.
I'm just gonna ignore the butt thing. But are you more of an ass guy or a tits guy?
I think ass, yeah, for sure.
Ass, really? All right.
That's why I think I don't like it to look fake.
Yeah. No, if it looks fake, it's too much. But yeah, I think I'm more of a titty guy. I don't know.
Man, it's so cool when a girl has a nice ass. So
It's
great.
nice when they have a great rack, man. Jeez Louise. Oh, my
Man,
God.
I'm gonna turn this thing off for a minute. Oh, boy.
Joel's hard.
How do we get off on that, man?
All right.
So I wrote down
All right.
some punch lists.
All right.
Right?
So what were we going to talk about? I forgot. I don't know how we got distracted by titties and ass all of a sudden. I don't know what the heck.
New Year's. What'd you do for New Year's?
New Year's, I was just working. I didn't get to do anything this year.
Oh, man.
All right.
Here's
we got David Cardoso over here.
All right. David just walked in. Man, I wish we had a video of that.
All right. We'll have to get David on here. We'll have him sit right there.
David, come here. Come sit down. Hey, just have a seat for 1 second. We just got to ask you a couple questions.
I'm gonna take a leak first, and I'm gonna listen to you guys.
He's got to take a leak.
Wearing the world's dumbest shoes.
What is he wearing? Yeezys?
They're Feezies. They're not.
They're
They're
Feezies.
these things he got 10 years ago.
Oh, the ones he got in Thailand?
Yeah, he bought like 10 pairs of them. So he's stuck with them forever.
I haven't seen
man.
these. Oh, these are those ones that he wears to the construction sites all the time, I think.
These are those. Yep.
Yeah, this fucking
Wouldn't catch
guy.
me wearing them. Well, David wasn't here for New Year's.
Oh yeah, so I didn't get to do anything for New Year's because I had to work. But what did you do?
Well, I didn't have to work. So I took mushrooms with Derek. We went out. What is it? Was it Saturday? It was a Sunday. It was a Sunday, right?
So how is mushrooms?
Was it a Sunday?
What do you feel when if you go out and you're doing mushrooms? Like
I've only done this 10 times. And I know that sounds like a lot. It's really not compared to people that do mushrooms.
Yeah.
If you do mushrooms, you know that's not a lot.
Yeah.
But I've only done this like maybe 10 times where I've gone out on mushrooms. And like one of the last times I did it was in Houston. I took these mushrooms called penis envy. And I took so many of them and they made me really horny.
Yeah.
And so you black out, you don't remember anything that happened. But Ramin's like, you're just putting your hands up girls' skirts, you're just all over, and they had to like, tie me up and get me out of there. Like I got really bad.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's like, it didn't used to be like that. So I think there's different kinds of mushrooms. So that was the last time, but there was this one time I did mushrooms. It was the best time ever. And it was probably it was the first time I did them. I thought mushrooms were like weed and just got you high. So I just ate all these mushrooms out and about. I was at Bottle Blonde.
Yeah.
And I put them on a pizza. Cello put them on there.
Oh,
and I thought that David was there for this too. I thought mushrooms got you just weed high.
Yeah.
So someone gave me a bag and I'm drunk. I hadn't been out of the army that long. And I just thought I was funny. And I poured the mushrooms on a pizza. We ordered pepperoni pizza. And everybody ate a slice. So we partied for a minute, and I started to slip, and lose control of everything. I could barely sit down. Like the room was melting. Yeah, it didn't. We still have never seen it. And then I woke up in my front yard. I lived where I live right now.
Oh my God!
I've lived there that long.
It's not a good advertisement for mushrooms there.
Yeah, I woke up in my front yard, and I was like, I live right across from all the clubs, and I was like, oh. I went out. Everything was a cartoon. It was the most fun ever.
Oh my God!
So that was a lot of fun.
I've seen certain people on them and they just say some weird ass shit where you're like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? But
man, and so many people microdose, so many people, people all like a lot of people just do a little tiny bit.
Well, there's a big thing now actually in the mental health industry going on in terms of mushrooms. But it's helping with PTSD, depression, anxiety, all these different other things. So that, along with ketamine and a few other things, there's a bunch of research going on. So I'm kind of waiting to see what some of this data comes back as. It will be kind of interesting. But there's actually a thing going on in Arizona. They're giving out grants for people who want to study mushrooms in particular.
Oh yeah, I want to get this job.
So. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in learning more about it, to be honest, just to see the overall effects that it has on the mental health industry, at least. So it'll be interesting.
It hasn't helped me.
It hasn't helped you?
No, but it was a bad trip. I don't remember any of it.
Oh, yeah.
On New Year's Eve. So I took the mushroom and then I just sat there like this.
Do you feel like it compounds in terms of alcohol and stuff, or do you feel like it has?
You don't drink on it.
Oh, you don't? Yeah, you don't need to.
You just have no thirst or anything. So I didn't drink the whole night. And I woke up the next day feeling amazing. And I was like, I'm so confused.
Yeah, because there's no hangover. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, how did I do all this? But apparently all we did was just went around and I just sat there like just staring at the walls. So yeah, it turns you into kind of a vegetable. So maybe it's not a social drug unless everyone else is on mushrooms. And apparently that was what it was. So we all had a good time. So we were all on mushrooms. So.
Yeah. So, in terms of going out in Scottsdale, if you were to prepare your night with your friends, where would we go?
Okay.
So let's say we're all dressed up to the nines. We had an event or something that we all went to, whether it be some kind of like the suitcase party or something like that, and we're about to go out. We're gonna go grab some dinner. Gonna go out after. Like, paint a picture of the night of what happens with us and our friends, and what we would do.
Usually, you would say, "Hey, let's get dinner first."
Yeah.
So you'd want it. Most clubs, and this is, I think, everywhere, they start at like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
So like that. So you do a dinner around 9, ideally. But some people like to do a 7, eat, and then go somewhere pregame, and then go to the club.
Yeah. Because dinner usually lasts a couple hours, and we want to stay in the restaurant until kind of things start picking up elsewhere, right?
Right. Yep. So that's really probably what a lot of us do is we go to dinner at 7, we finish eating dinner, and then we go to another spot.
Yep. So we start at dinner. We either go to Moxie's, Mastro's, Ocean 44, Nobu, Toca Madera, Houston's, something like that. So we go to one of these spots, start the night, have a couple drinks, eat some nice dinner, and then what's the next move?
Well, you're in Scottsdale, so then you're going to start making your way over towards the entertainment district, which is Craftsman. No,
what would you say that place is called, where all these bars are kind of located in Scottsdale? Bottle Blonde, Casamigos, Hi-Fi, Hefe,
I think it's
Ride
literally
House.
called the entertainment district.
Yeah, it's called the entertainment district.
But it's in Old Town, but it's obviously not. Main Street is like main Old Town.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of not in Old Town, really. Old Town's really like Indian School and Main Street, like that area.
Yeah.
But it is the locals, people that come to town to visit. Everyone calls it Old Town Scottsdale. I think the majority of people call.
I think most people call it OT.
If you say you're going out in Old Town, you're probably talking about that Saddlebag.
Yeah, that particular circle right there between the W and just basically where all those different bars are located, kind of concentrated in that area.
Super high energy because all the bars are right next to each other, and if it's a busy night like a Saturday or a Friday, then it's really high energy. There's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
So that would probably, you wouldn't even go there next. That area doesn't get high energy until 10 or 11. So a rookie might go at like 9 and just be standing there by himself. Like, I thought this place was a lot of fun. And you see that all the time. It's really funny. Like, I see it. I live across the street from it. So all day long, I see like groups with their suitcases at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Like, where do we go? And everything's closed. There's not even anything open. And I'm like, you thought that was where you go. So like, but it's only the spot to go after 11. And the issue is, not that it's an issue, but like by the time you've eaten dinner and you've drank at dinner, and then you may have had a few drinks at the bar before dinner, then you had dinner, had a few drinks after dinner. Now by the time you're at the club, you're blacked out. But you knew you were gonna black out because you've done this before, so you've already like made a pre-agreement with the manager. Sometimes halftime, this is a normal person, maybe you agreed on what you're gonna pay for your table, so that you don't go in there. It protects you and them, so they make sure that they get their money from your sloppy ass because you're gonna be sloppy, and it's great. That's how it goes down, and then it just escalates from there, and then you think you need to go to every single spot. Half the time because they're all right next to each other, and it just depends on who you are. If you're with a group, it's tough to go between spots. Like it's impossible, really.
So are you more the type that I know what type you are, but I was asking this question. But in terms of coming, like going to the bars or whatever, whether let's say you just get out, you just had dinner, you're coming out, you're dressed fancy, in your Coca-Cola jacket, you're like, hell yeah,
Coked out.
Hopefully not.
No, Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah. But anyways, so you go into the bars and you start at, let's say, Casamigos or something. Are you the type that stays at that place the entire night, or you jump around, or what do you do?
I think I always jump around for the most part.
Yeah.
I always jump around just because I have ADD, so it's just boring to sit in the same spot all night. And then it's not like you can talk to anybody, so it's like, okay, we're here. It's hey, how are you? Say hi. Everyone understands hi. But that's really the only sentence you can understand. So you just all hang out there, and then you're ready to let's go check out another spot. Let's go say hi to someone else.
Yeah.
And so that's the migration. When I used to go out like that, I don't do it ever anymore. You know that?
Yeah.
But I used to do that. I heard I did it New Year's Eve. I heard I went to every single spot.
Yeah, I think when I first came to Scottsdale, I would like just get a table and I would just stick somewhere. Every single time, I would just like plant somewhere. But then as I started becoming friends with, like Ramin, Ruby, and all these other people, basically they want to go from place to place. Every single 2 seconds, they're like, all right. They walk in, they look around, they're like, all right.
Next spot.
Make a circle. Then they go to the next spot, same thing, do the same thing again. And then after a while, I'm just like, what are we doing? You know, I like to plant somewhere every once in a while.
I'm telling you, that's how it's done. And then, but you're right. I like planting. Like, you have the most fun when you just stay in the same spot.
No, I agree.
That's the most fun.
I feel like
you get the most drunk when you bounce around, though.
I feel like some of the best times that we've had in terms of entertainment district in Scottsdale is where we've gone somewhere and basically we just plant somewhere. We start having a few drinks, talking to people, and then, whether it's Instagram, whatever happens to be, the people all come to us and like hang out and.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's the best.
And sometimes I'm like, yeah, can we just do that? Like, that is fun when you're just like post it up where you're at. You can hear David talking on the phone. But yeah,
we'll get him on here eventually.
Usually our group is always having fun, like somehow for some reason.
Oh yeah, for sure, always.
And so people always want to come be around it, so we can kind of take the party wherever we go.
Yeah, this is true.
Whenever we go out, it just kind of follows us.
Yeah, this is true. So out of all the bars, I know you were involved with Skylanes for one, but was there any other bars in the circle that you were involved with initially, or like in some way?
Yeah, I was with there's like two main groups, and I was with the Riot House first. Riot.
Oh, really?
Not Riot House, but Riot. The group. There's two groups. Yeah, I worked at Cake as a bartender.
Oh, okay.
Cake is still a club in Scottsdale, but the people that own it, they had it in a different location when I worked for them, and I made the most money there. That's how I got into clubs, because of Cake. Because
Really?
I was in the fine dining, and then Steak 44 didn't work out, and my friends were opening the Montauk, so I jumped over to the Montauk, and at that point I was just like a professional server, and I knew everything about serving and all that, etiquette and all that. And the Montauk really needed someone like that, so I was managing there, and we had a pretty solid. It was running pretty good, and after the Montauk, I left the Montauk, and I think when I left Montauk, I hit up Drew, I think, and I was like, hey, is there anything for me at EEG? And he's like, not really. Like, they didn't have anything at the time for me to do, so I was like, okay. So I hit up Sonny, I think. Yeah, I hit up Sonny.
Yeah.
And Sonny's like, hey, I'm going to put you at Cake. And they were doing Sunday nights, and it was really dead.
Yeah.
And they weren't making any money, so they already had a staff, so they put me on bartending Sunday nights. And I bartended there and made it was $100 an hour easy every shift. It was always good money. And so I made an extra like $40K a year just working that one Sunday night. It was an extra $40K. So I did that for a couple of years until that Cake location, their lease expired.
Yeah, that's what it was. Because I remember when I first came to Scottsdale, I think Cake was still open in that area where Pretty Please is right now. And I was surprised how busy that place would get. It would just be a packed box, basically, of just people. And it would get so wild. And it was just nuts.
When they first opened, slammed like 24/7.
Yeah.
You would go in there at 6 p.m. and then leave at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And it would open early at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
so it'd be, because there's no windows, so it'd be light outside, and you go in and it's all dark.
Yeah.
And just party there the entire day. And they eventually sold their two Riot. Riot bought them from.
Is that what it was?
From the guys that opened Toca Madera are the
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
that opened Cake, and then they decided to go into restaurants, so they sold their club.
Yeah, I
to
know
Riot.
Wattsman was involved in that, right?
I don't know to what extent. I think
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was. I think when they sold, he stayed on as an owner or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And because I think he was tied to those Toka guys more than anything. Because I think he was involved in Toka too.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not sure what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
But
I don't
he
know
was
the exact
definitely-
details.
He was an owner. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Our buddy Brandon Wattsman. We'll have to get him on here. We have a lot of questions for you, Brandon.
Oh, we got plenty of questions for Brandon Wattsman.
We all want to know.
He will be on here.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so Cake in Old Town Scottsdale was definitely wild, and then they closed that because of the lease, like you mentioned, and then they opened up the new spot, Cake, which is a kind of a whole new thing.
It's the same exact brand.
so-
They use the
yeah.
it's just a different building.
Yeah, same brand, just different building, but it's great. It can't complain.
Honestly, it's the most fun right now.
Yeah. Would you say in terms of like the old Cake and the new Cake? Would you say they're comparable, kind of the same? Do you think like the new Cake better? Like, how would you describe that?
New Cake might be better. It's definitely a way better setup. It's way better setup. I've had no issues there, so I can't. Even the front door's been good, so like everyone's really chill there. I think who works there? Austin.
Yep. Austin Unger.
Austin's chill.
He's the manager. He's great.
Yeah, so there's never any issues. Everyone that works there is chill. It's just like we were saying earlier. It's nice when you have like a local or someone that everyone gets along with.
Yeah. But
And it's high energy in there.
but super high
I
energy.
guess the other Cake was so small that you could fill it up. The other Cake was definitely busier, way more than this one. Like it was always busy. Well, yeah, like Friday through Sunday, it was slammed. It just was.
No, I agree with you.
But that was because of the size. A lot of that was because of the size. It's just a lot easier to fill up a smaller space.
Oh, for sure.
It was half the size. So
Actually, that was one of the first places that I actually got to experience with one of my friends. Not this David, but a different David. He had took me to Cake, whatever, and I was just like, holy heck! This is the first time I ever saw champagne come out.
bro, we did so much sales there. It's just out of that tiny little
Oh, yeah.
spot. And one night I go in and they're like, hey, this is called a Dom ladder. It's just been introduced to Scottsdale. No one knows what it is.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Oh, so you're the person that introduced the Dom ladder?
I didn't do it, but I was there that
Oh,
night.
yeah.
I did do it though. But look, they're like, hey, this is the Dom ladder. It can hold 12 bottles of Dom, maybe more. I forget. It was a lot. And they go, first person in the company to sell one gets 2 bottles of Dom also, you know. So I sold it that night over the bar.
Hold on one second.